So we'll take this track ahead with a product demo. For that, we would like to welcome Abhijit Kadam and Manish Gupta. Abhijit is Senior Pre-Sales Consultant at Micro Focus with 17 years of experience in the field of IT services and software and services, primarily focused on software application lifecycle and delivery management. Manish is Director of Business and Technology Consulting at Micro Focus, responsible for Enterprise Devops. He brings rich international experience spanning 2 decades in the IT industry with the main focus on application, delivery, automation, DevSecOps, and performance engineering. Today, they'll be giving a product demo on how AI is revolutionizing test automation. Please welcome Ajay and Manish. If you would like to check the video, we'll be sharing the link shortly. Over to you, Abhijit and Manish.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Abhijit, are you online as well?
Yes, I am. I'm sharing the slides.
Yeah, Abhijit will be sharing the screen. I will just do a quick introduction and I will hand it over to Abhijit for the demo. First of all, I would like to thank Agile Testing Alliance to give us this opportunity to present about this topic. So I have been hearing the discussion, the previous panel discussion, and quite a spirited discussion around manual and automated testing. So just a disclaimer that there is nothing against manual testing in this demo. And as a product vendor, we've been in the market of test automation tools for over 2 decades now. And what we are now going to talk about is how this whole paradigm of test automation is getting revolutionized with artificial intelligence technologies. So Abhijit, if you move on to the next slide, I wanted to just set the context, and if you can just play out the animation. Just setting the context here with respect to how test automation has been evolving. And if you look at the 80s, maybe till the early 90s, it was mainly manual testing. There was really no need to scale testing beyond manual testing because we were dealing with a smaller footprint of software. There were limited applications and lines of codes, etc. And it's only with I think the late 90s when automation started becoming something of a business. And Mercury, the company that I joined 20 years back, was one of the first companies to invent software for automated testing. So there were lightweight automation tools. And then by the year, I think with the turn of the century, rather, we started seeing more robust automation frameworks. So QTP was launched sometime around 2005. And then we also saw the advent of the web technologies and there, of course, the mobile proliferation, the smart devices, etc., by the end of the last decade. And thereon, it all became about scaling automation. And I think what we are saying here is that we've reached a threshold, we've reached rather an inflection point where it is absolutely important to scale automation, but the technology that has been available to automate has been falling behind the curve. So the goal is to be able to now work smarter, use technologies like AI to our benefit. And this is something that we will also explain by an example. So if you go to the next slide, just to give you an example today in terms of scaling automation, what are we talking about? If you look at a typical application or a business process that needs to be tested, in this case, we're going to look at an example of an online shopping application. You have an Android application, you have an iOS application, perhaps you also maintain a mobile web version and also maybe a desktop browser application. So that right there is 3 to 4 different automation scripts that you need to maintain for a single business process. And not to mention, you are also going to frequently update this application, which means, the object identifiers keep changing. This is, I think, a typical problem that a lot of us who've been grappling with automation for the last so many years face, that there is a significant amount of maintenance effort that goes into, fixing your scripts as and when your application changes. So that right there gives some kind of makes your automation ROI arguable and makes companies think about why should we invest in automation? So this is the problem statement that I wanted to set as a context. And what we will see now is how AI is going to help us solve this problem, right? We want to be able to script once, work across platforms. We want to be able to script once and then not worry about object properties changing. What it means is, as a human being, when I do manual testing, uh, it is independent of the changes in the object properties as long as I can visually identify the objects. So what we are doing with UFT, which is the next avatar of QTP that many of you might know of, is that we are baking in the computer vision technology, technology that you similar to what you see in today autonomous cars, what you see in, software that can scan MRI images to give you an understanding of what your MRI scan looks like. So that computer vision technology that can process images, use neural networks to make decisions, that has now been baked into UFT to enable AI-based automation. So Abhijit, why don't you take us through the product demo and how AI solved this problem?
Sure. Thanks, Manish. Hope you guys can hear me okay. So what I have, as Manish said, what I'll show is how traditionally automation works today and what are the challenges there. And through a series of demos, mini demos, what I'll show is that the script, the regular scripting, how it works, how it breaks, and then how AI solves that problem. So just to start over here. Okay, let me use the mouse. Okay, so this is my traditional script in my automation tool, and it is running on a mobile application on a mobile device, and it works fine. It's a very quick script there, and it is logging in, and it will do its thing. And after logging in, the script will stop. Okay, now after this, what we do is, so this is a result for that script, and it's all passed. It's all green. Now after this, what we see is that we introduced a small change to that same application that we just saw in the previous demo, where what we are doing is, as you can see, after and before, we are switching the hamburger menu and the shopping cart icons from left to right. So you can see the after and the before. So now if I run that same script, what will happen is we will see, okay, same script running again, and the icons have switched from left to right, or they have swapped places. And so what you'll see is in the command, second command, which is line number 5, it fails because it is trying to find the profile button. Instead, it finds a shopping cart over there. And you can see on the right side, on the real device, the shopping cart section of the application is developed. So, visible. So the script fails, obviously, and it cannot identify the object over there. Okay, so this is how and this is what happens many a times out there when we are running automation. So why did that test break? So the reason is that it's primarily object identification, but because object identification is based on physical object properties, we all know that, and we have used that a lot in our automation. Now changes in the application impact these properties, and hence your application automation breaks and fails the way we just saw. Okay, so it fails due to fragile identification. Now your application, if it has thousands and thousands of UI objects like this, then the point of failures could be multiple, and you could spend a lot of time fixing that automation, maintaining it, and doing the changes rather than actually running it and testing the application. Okay, so what we are saying is AI can solve this problem. Manish alluded to that. So through AI, and we'll see that in a series of demos after this, what we have done is we have introduced an AI software or AI model in our tool, which will identify the objects the same way as a human does. So the underlying concept or technology there is computer vision. So we have trained our AI engine or the neural network of the engine with thousands and thousands of images that are typically found in a e-commerce application or a mobile application or a web application, so that it can identify those the same way you and me would do it. If I see a login screen, for example, or if I see a shopping cart, or if I see a menu item on a mobile application, which is those 3-4 lines, the hamburger menu as it's called, I immediately know it's some kind of a menu. So why can't my tool know that? So that's how we have trained it. So it can interact with the objects on the screen or the GUI objects in a natural way, the way a human being would do it. And the last thing is we have also introduced codeless scripting through natural language processing, and you can write tests using plain English. So no more that script kind of a view, and we'll see that in the demo as well. So this is my demo where I talk about a bunch of things. So let me just get this. Okay, so this is my I'm activating the AI service, my tool, and now after that we'll see how it works. Okay, so the tool is relaunched again. So now what the first thing, let me just pause it here for a moment. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is, so there are three things in this demo. The first thing is shift left testing. Basically what it means is testing very early. Now when we talk about testing early, what it means is that you may not have the application ready and available for automation. You might have some mock-ups which have been created by the business folks or the business analyst, which might be available, the screenshots or whatever. Can we create automation using that? The answer is yes. So that's what we're going to see, the first thing. Second is we're going to see the AI recorder, which is going to create the automation using the AI technology. And the third is the feedback mechanism if certain objects are not identifiable. So that is the overview of the end-to-end scenario that I'm demonstrating. So the first is the mock-up. So I have some JPEG or PNG images which I will use. So I'll open one of them, which are provided to me by the business people. So this is the mock-up screen. So based on the mock-up screen, my tool can identify the objects and you can create commands out of it. So for example, clicking on the profile button, clicking on the login button, which is the username input or the password input and so on. And so that is how you can just drag and drop and create the script using that. So I'll just pause here for a moment. So what you saw in the previous screen was that the AI engine scanned that image. It identified the objects in that mock-up image, which was the profile icon or the login button or the username input box and whatnot. And it automatically, allowed you to create, commands out of it. So it can scan the images and it can scan the applications in a similar way. It's a UI that the model sees. It scans it for visual elements, for text elements, and automatically allows you to create an interactive script out of it, or a automation script out of it. So that was the first thing that we saw, creating automation out of the mockups. Second is recording it. So now we have, suppose we have a real application available. So what we will do is on the application we will run the AI recorder and create the recording the way we would typically create automation recording. So I'm putting the checkpoints here. I'm clicking on the search box. Now clicking on the search box is as simple as you would do it. You know what a search box looks like and you know that text goes in there. Another thing is, so visual elements is one approach. Second is the OCR based or the text element approach, where it can scan the application for all the text and it can create actionable commands out of it. So it is clicking on that text easily. So we are going through the flow. It's a very simple flow for an e-commerce application where I'm searching for a product, selecting a product, adding it to the cart and so on. And this is how the recorded script is created very simply. And then the last piece is what I wanted to show is, in case certain icons are not identifiable, then what I'll do is the user would want to send that as a feedback to us, Micro Focus, so that we can improve the AI engine by training it further using the images. So in this case, the user is sending this safe pay image back to Micro Focus so that the AI model can be further made better and trained and made better. Okay, so that is the feedback mechanism for you. Okay, and the last thing is the object identification, which is there always in the tool. So further, some AI enhanced capabilities and object identification has been made a little more better with the AI capabilities, so that you can so that nothing is left out on the screen and everything is identifiable. Now we'll run that script. Now we'll run that. Let me just pause here. Now we will run this in 3 different scenarios. So here's the beauty of it, and this is what the main highlight of this demo. which is that the same script which we just created can run on 3 different scenarios, which includes, you can see that at the bottom, you're running it on a browser in a French language. So it's not only cross-platform, but cross-language. The same English script that you're seeing, we'll run it on a mobile device, and we'll run it also on a run it on a classic browser on a desktop laptop in English language. So 2 browser instances that we are running in French and English, so cross-language, and 1 on a mobile device. So same script running in these 3 different situations. Okay, so let's play it. So now first is the browser and the French language. So it will launch the browser. So we'll run it. So launching the browser in French. So running on Chrome and French. Okay. So you can see the login screen is a little different in each situation on a mobile device or in the browser, but still it's being taken care of because you and me would know what a login screen would look like no matter where we see it, so that the script also knows that, or the tool also knows that, and it is taking care of it automatically. So even if, for example, okay, let it run, I'll not talk. So now it's running on a mobile device, the same script, and in this case it's iOS device with English language. So this is a real device. This is a real device, by the way. Yes, please go ahead.
5 minutes to go.
All right, thanks. Okay, so running on Firefox and English. Okay. So finally, the report of each of the iterations, for the French and for the English executions on mobile device, with all the screenshots, fantastic screenshots, audit trail of every command that was executed, every checkpoint that it went through. So it's a nice, rich report in HTML, can be exported to PDF, and you can take it to anywhere else that you want in the form of exporting it. So that is that. And the last thing is the codeless, which I did want to cover this. So in the codeless, what you will see is, just look at the scripts that are created. So we select, we are doing it on a mobile application. We select the device, real device, by the way. So we are selecting the test environment on which we will record the script, and then we will see how the script looks like. So I'm starting the recording now. So we'll load up the device and the application, and we'll see how the recording happens. So the AI model loads up the screen UI in its interface, in its window over there, and then you can see. So I'm clicking on the hamburger menu. Look at the script over there. It's plain English, simple script. This is what scriptless should look like. And then we are doing. So we are going through the same set of steps. Clicking the profile button, logging in, selecting a product, searching for a product, and adding it to the cart and so forth. So we are doing the login. Okay.
You can fast forward in the interest of time some of the recording. Yeah.
Okay. So we are. So look at the. I just wanted to highlight the script over here, and you can see. Click the menu, click the profile, click the login button, and so forth. And so we go through the steps, and finally the script is completed. And we will run the script, okay, and again the feedback loop, which is similar to what you saw in the earlier thing. So what we'll do is, if I run that script, now the same script can run on different mobile devices. In this case, we are running it on an Android device and on an iOS device, and also a mobile browser. So the same script that we just created can run on 3 different environments, similar to what you saw in an earlier demo. It's just that this time we are running it through the codeless interface. So we have 2 interfaces. One is the codeless, and one is the classic script interface, which is through the UFT IDE. And it will run fine. And finally, so I'll just fast forward. So you can see that it's all green. So the execution has happened. And it will show the test results for each of the iterations in the same format. You can see the screenshots and so on, for the Android device, for the iOS device, and so forth. So that is that. What I'll do is, that's it from my side, Manish. And if you have any questions, please. Thank you.
Yes. I'll just show the questions.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so these are the questions that we have received. You may want to take any of them.
Okay. So what if the web page has several links with same image? So there is the option, I think we had to fast forward the demo, but there is a option to add the identifier or a number, right? So Abhijit, you want to comment on that? Or I don't think we have time to go back to the demo. But yeah, if you have the same image, you can add an ordinal.
Correct, that's correct.
Okay. How record and play is different from other automation tools. I think record and replay has been around for a while. What we wanted to highlight here is that the object identification by the automation tool is now switching gears. It's moving to a more computer vision, AI-based recording or identification mechanism. So that was the one that we wanted to differentiate. Will this use static ID if we do drag and drop to create automation script? I'm not too clear about that question. Abhijit, if you want to come in, let me see what else is there. Prerequisites to learn UFT AI-based automation testing. Okay, so we are posting quite a bit of tutorials and videos on our YouTube channel, and there is the Micro Focus Academy as well. There are some free courses, but you can always download the trial version. It's valid for 45 days. You can go to microfocus.com, download it, and I think 45 days is a good time to learn a tool. How can we identify the product-related issues when we use static ID? Not too clear on the static ID, but we'll come back to that if we have more time. What else is there? How do you achieve reusability of scripts with the codeless solution? Yeah, so reusability, I think, is a great point, right? We want to be able to reuse the same scripts and a lot of times you find that with every build, if your object or code is changing, but visually the application is not changing, then your scripts are becoming reusable in nature. Also, as you saw, it's reusable across Android, iOS, mobile web, because it doesn't matter as long as visually we are recognizing it the same way, right? Same way the human being will recognize the business process to be done on an Android versus an iOS app using the same principle there. Okay, I think probably we ran out of time. Yeah.
Yes, we'll take other questions offline. Thank you, Abhijit and Manish, for the product.
Thank you, everybody.